to say goodbye to a lot of people.
Say good. Where you going?
Jail.
You?
I stabbed someone. That's bad.
Oh.
That's really bad.
Let's not think about that, okay? Let's not think about that. Just calm down, relax. A lot of things are going on right now, okay? A lot of things are going on right now, okay?
Okay. Are the handcuffs necessary? I'm a good child.
Peace and blessings, family, Sister Ajali. My goodness, I don't even know how I'm going to report this one. It's not really a report, it's more of a commentary. But this is so horrifying that I just have to share about this 12-year-old girl who stabbed her brother. They didn't know at the moment that he was fatally stabbed, fatally wounded by his sister. And the mother heard the screaming. She was upstairs, they were downstairs, and the mother's a single mother. She has 3 children. There was another one, a 3-year-old, who was staying with his father for that week, I believe. I don't know if this was necessarily the week or the weekend that this incident happened, but she had obviously multiple baby daddies. I'm just saying, not because every single white person, every single white 12-year-old child would do something so heinous as to stab their child. I'm saying this because the measure of our need to separate from these people is not that we have to be perfect as black people. It's that they have to be perfect. They have to have no flaws. And in trying to stop the genocide of radiation that is being deliberately targeted at our black communities, there's no doubt about that whatsoever. There's no place you can get CMOS from that is not coming from a radioactively contaminated water body. Knowing that's going on, I'm always going to question why enough of us do not take me serious so that you will share the warning. I thank you, Sister Zizza the Artist, in case you're listening to this, because you are stunning. And so many. I don't want to just also, isolate one, because there's other sisters who also do amazing things and brothers who do amazing things. I would not have a single astonishingly gorgeous cover on any of my books were it not for Brother Yapo Yapa, who gave me the very first cover for this black absolutely just as a gift. And I wouldn't be able to share my warnings at all were it not for Dr. Z and him meeting me when I was a Negro peeing and waking me up. So getting past that and back to this girl who I played the clip of, that was as she was sitting in the back seat of the police car, and they fudged out her face because she is a minor, and I don't want to forget that, even though they forget that about us on the constant. I mean, this is a brand new, absolutely heart-wrenching incident where the young boy called the police for help because he believed that he's little. They're little. They don't know. And so he called the police, and police officer shot him in the chest. That little girl was being treated so professionally, kindly, as if she is what she is, a 12-year-old girl. And by the way, never take it as truthful when any authority, any law enforcement authority or any capacity in governmental structure talks to you nicely. They often train to do so. And even entertainment wise, oh my goodness, the news broadcasters, all of them, that white smile. I'm just saying, they could be black and they could still be smiling at you. And they can thereby gain your trust and be working on setting you up the whole interaction. So when we bring it up, you always see the usual suspects, the white ones, who'll say, why they always got to bring up race? This isn't a racial issue. There is no such thing as a non-racial issue when these people are in control of not only our narrative in Hella Weird, where they're constantly just pushing interracialism when it comes to black us, or just perversionism when it comes to black us. This is a movie that I actually had the just lunacy on my part, to watch. Fatherhood. And there's Kevin Hart. He's supposed to be, like, I'm a black man who's going to, do a good job of trying to raise my daughter, which in real life, brothers be holding it down. They are the number one there for their children demographic of fathers of every single race there is. That's just a fact. But at the very end, there he is wearing a dress. Now, I don't want to go through and find all the little clips, but this thing was so friggin' brainwashing, gender bending. It wasn't even funny. Where he was calling his girlfriend Hank because it was so funny. Tee ha ha ha. I could call you anything I want. You call me Hank, because she has the same name, or she had in the movie the same name as his wife, who died. Beautiful black woman all the way through. New girlfriends, got just that brainwashing. I'm extra beautiful because I've got deep brown eyes, like most of us have deep brown eyes, which are fully functional eyes. I'm not making fun of anybody with lighter eyes. I'm just saying we've got a devil trying to destroy us. We have to notice so we can embrace the full glory of who we overwhelmingly are as a people. And so every time, it was only, I think, one time, maybe even two times, they kissed. As soon as their lips got close, they did a beeline, far flung away angle. I had to go and find it. So this is them kissing. It is so far away. It's further away. It's at nighttime, so you can't see it so well. Then we got to see him in the little Catholic nun skirt. And folks could say, oh no, but it's a movie that children are going to watch. But here's a scene of them doing a booty call bed thing. They don't want to see our love, our capability of seeing the worthiness of each other when it's happening all over the place. This is just them, and they're friggin', it's like they're so scared of any depiction of black love whatsoever. That's not normal. And this sort of thing is a lot more prevalent than they'll ever admit. So that the mother's trying to explain how it was the medication that did it to her daughter. But that medication was fashioned first to make money. But they set it up so that black children would be forced to go on this medication, because I noticed a difference when it came to sending our son to public school. You have these white female teachers who have no warmth or connection to their black students. and especially not to young black males, definitely not older ones. And so my son, who was just absolutely so responsive to our instruction, just an absolutely wonderful person, just like so many of our children are. But the young white teacher, suddenly she can't contain him. She can't control him. She doesn't know how to interact with him. That's how they get you going, where they, oh no, he's very active. Yeah, he's a child. All children are active. I have absolutely no problem with him. But she did, right? I didn't get to the point where then they start saying, well, he needs medication, where then if you're working a full-time job, they're calling you at your job constantly, haranguing you, and you can't take any more days off finally. And so they're like, well, we're going to have to send your child to this other institution where they could handle him. And you're like, no, I don't want that. Well, then we have this medication for him. With all of that being targeted at Black us, I'm sorry. This is not something that happens to us. And I know you're like, no, this doesn't happen to them either. I was watching one, because I'm in the house doing all my work and I only speak English, and I really am I'm trying to get out of the Brady Bunch horror show, where I have been, we all have been. This is the whole excuse of the swirlers and the bedbugs. White women are just so much more feminine, or white men are just so much more, manly, or they treat me right because they're just so better than our own. That is such a freaking lie. It's a patent lie. And then you wind up embracing their psychopathic underpinnings, where when I first came up here, I was going over one murder of Black women after another. And these swirlers never even acknowledged it. You've become a psychopath. And so I'm watching all these murders where I've showcased the channels that I was watching these things. Historical murders, white on white crime, one decade after another, one day after another. And I thought, well, I do empathize with the victims. I get up here and I'm like, I know most white people would never commit murder. But there's something very different. It's not unprecedented. And if they're going to determine our stories, our destiny, what's on our plate, they have to be perfect. But they presented themselves as perfect with shows like The Brady Bunch. And we all wind up believing it so that we can be fooled by these folks. So when you hear your sister warning you about what these people do, it's just like, it's crazy. This is a Netflix show that's going to be coming on that I'll watch because that's what I do. This is going to be covering the Fukushima Daiichi meltdown. And this is going to be just patent lies because they're producing this, and it's a movie, I do believe. I don't know if it's a series or what. It's this AIC, a series says up there. They're doing this because there's so many people like me who are telling the facts of what happened with Fukushima. And thereby, they need to contain the narrative. But these are psychopaths. You know how many people have to cooperate? These are systemic, organized psychopaths. How many people have to coordinate to kill as many people as they're planning on killing? Committing global genocide, all easier to get away with because most of the world and almost all the non-white world, brown world, worships white people like they do no wrong. And even if you know they do wrong, you get to the point where you just feel comfortable with them in charge. So you start to believe that doing wrong is the right thing to do. But this is the the Facebook account for the platform that shared that little clip from the girl saying, are handcuffs necessary? And she sounded so cold when she said it. I'm just saying, I know it's a complicated situation, but she's just like, I'm a good girl. Really? You should be in absolute humble servitude at that point. You shouldn't be asking for any special favors. So that's what lets me know that, there's just something underlying going on there. There'll be investigations. I do not wish any child harm if they make a mistake, right? But I'm just saying, these aren't our people. There's something going on. So when I mean going on, I mean going wrong with them. So when I go through here, this is like a website that has millions of people who are following. And like I said, my measure is not that we have to be perfect. It's that they have to be. There's no nation on earth that doesn't have crime. But when you scroll through this sucker, it's like non-black person after non-black person. And I'm not watching any more of the murder things because after a while, I had a nightmare. I very rarely have nightmares. I had a nightmare and I like, okay, that's enough of that. But when you scroll through this, all these, I could go on and on and on. With all the white folks who are up on here, you would figure that it would just be black us, all up and down. But when they shoot our children, that's the excuse they use. Oh, well, I'm just so they don't even say I'm traumatized. As a police officer, enough that you can't recognize a child when you see him. But when you see yours, you have an automatic expectation that, oh, well, I have to be nice to this one, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't be. I'm saying you ain't our people. You ain't our people. If you fear us more than you fear your own, that's crazy. And I was scrolling down, reading comments, one after the other, just because I find them astounding. But I don't have to. I'm not here to work on them. There's no way we could go door to door to door to door to door throughout the world to every single white household, knock on it, and have a conversation to convince them not to be as friggin' brainless as this dude who said this is the case where someone broke into a store and they were stealing, right? And always the same players, reparations, LMAO. What? You obviously are just come here when you see a black person involved, and then you skip over all the other white faces. But that's what they do because there's a fog between, they know what's right and wrong. Otherwise, they wouldn't have their movies geared to appeal to the nature of life, to want the right thing to be done. But then they just really enjoy, I don't know if I can say that their psychology is just so freaking twisted, right? What we say is 100% true. They get on code. Even if they know it's wrong, they get on code, right? So I don't want to even say anymore. I don't even want to scroll through and read the rest of the article because I know, and in the comment section, it's just, they're going to be so kind to each other, as they should be. Pink on pink love, baby, do you. But leave us the hell alone, right? And they will not leave us alone. We must leave them alone. Get out of the Brady house. Share the warnings about Fukushima and share this map. I'll put a link to it. This sucker is really absolutely necessary for us to understand there is no such thing as non-irradiated CMOS. I'm not going to show the graph again, but you can have just a small amount of radiation in the seawater and the vegetation, all of it. CMOS is a seaweed. will absorb it 10,000 times what's in the seawater, right? There's no place where you are not going to find radiation. Each one of these little blue dots is where they tested and found radiation. And places where they didn't test, don't just think, oh, well, maybe they didn't find anything over there. No, that's just where they were like, no, we're not getting paid to go test over there. But when you've got saturation levels like this, let's see what this is right here. Tritium. You don't want to be drinking tritium. It's hot water. It puts out beta radiation, which inside your body, if you're drinking it, if you're eating it in the sea vegetable, the sea moss, will proceed to destroy everything around it. That is a radioactive decay inside your body, and you ain't getting it out, right? So, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. And because there is a semblance of humanity in all of the non-black races, they don't want to die either. We don't own these daggone nuclear power plants. We don't own these media centers that are lying to everybody. Okay? So when I look at that 12-year-old child, I'm just like, she's just a symptom of the thought-born cancer that is wiping out every single form of life there is, very deliberately. All right? All right. I love you. Straight black family pride. I ain't going to emphasize it, but you need to wash your behind with my holistic soaps. It's that simple. Go to 25,000yearscycle.org. Tomorrow morning I should wake up and Dr. Z should be saying, whoa, you got 500 orders. That means you individually listening right now, especially if you've never bought my soap. You have no excuse because I'm not changing. I'm going to keep doing this on the park bench or not. It'll be a lot harder because there's no electricity on the park bench. But I'm just saying, okay? I love you. Straight, black, family pride. And eventually, if enough of us who are willing to wake the hell up, wake up, hell is over. Peace and blessings.